just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the Peachtrees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive storm trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For storm trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the 1st of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up.
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need
With all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush, weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the Peachtrees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
That's why the 11 Alive Storm Trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. The Storm Trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
County Sheriff's Office personnel who shot and killed Johnny Bolton. Why do these officers claim that they shot Johnny while he was sleeping and unarmed? Why was the Cobb MCS trying to execute a search warrant, a nighttime no-knock warrant on an apartment housing people different than those identified in the warrant? And where's the accountability for the killing of an unarmed, sleeping black man by law enforcement? We, the family, the attorneys, have privately approached all of the law enforcement agencies involved, seeking answers to these very basic questions. Instead of transparency, we've been met with silence. Their actions to date in the aftermath of Johnny's death show they do not believe that Johnny's life mattered. But we know otherwise. We will not be stopped from telling Johnny's story. This is the start. And from what we know now, Johnny's death appears unnecessary and unjustified. The family's going to make brief statements. They're not going to take questions at this time. Afterwards, Bill Atkins will make a statement, and then the attorneys can answer questions. First, I want to introduce you all to Daphne Bolton, Johnny's sister, and she will read a statement.
Thank you all for coming out. This is very important to me, his sister, and his remaining family and friends all across the United States. Unfortunately, this storyline has played out too many times to recast. The sorrow and hurt of the death of my brother, Johnny Lorenzo Bolton, by the hands of the police department is no different than the hurt and sorrow and pain felt across countless families in this world. At this point, our intentions surround actions and justice. Cobb County has not cooperated with our family nor shared any information about the death or the events that led up to my brother's death, Johnny Lorenzo Bolton. Hear his name. We call on today Sheriff Craig Owens to release all video of the incident to show the public what took place. We demand they identify the Cobb County Sheriff's officer personnel who shot and killed my brother, Johnny Lorenzo Bolton. We want answers. Why did the officers shoot and kill my brother? Where is the accountability? This happened December the 17th of 2020. 6 months silence. Where's the accountability? And please note that today marks the 1-year anniversary today of George Floyd, and I stand here today having to do this, another family having to do this. We are here today to say Johnny Lorenzo Bolton, my brother, the only brother that I had, won't be covered up, and we will not be silenced. We will bring to the light of day, and justice will come, and my brother's death will not be in vain. That's all for now.
And now I'd like to introduce Johnny's children, Kyrie Turner and Diamond Bolton.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
On December 17, 2020, law enforcement officers shot and killed our father, Johnny Lorenzo Bolton. Since then, we have been looking for answers. We know from the medical examiner that he was shot multiple times, died from being shot from those gunshot wounds, of course. We know from the people that lived with him that he was not armed and was sleeping right before he was shot. We've asked all the law enforcement agencies involved in the warrant for information about what happened, and they've told us almost nothing.
We just want answers on how this happened, what led to this. You know, he hasn't met his daughter, my child, and they took that away from him because that's what he was going to do. And we just need answers and we want justice.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bill Atkins with the law firm of Edmund, Lindsay, and Atkins, and I will be working with Zach Greenemeyer on this tragic case. A family should not have to hold a press conference to find out how a government agent killed their loved one. But that apparently is what it takes in this country to get the attention of law enforcement when these sorts of things happen. For nearly 6 months, this family has calmly, quietly done everything that the law enforcement across community across this country asks for. Be calm, wait, we'll get you answers. We will give you what you need. Just be calm, wait, we'll give you the answers. Well, they don't. They don't. And they haven't. And that's why we end up here. We understand that at this present moment, the DA's office has a job to do, that they are supposed to be reviewing this case, but that does not stop the sheriff's office from speaking to this family. That does not stop the newly elected sheriff who promised to change the way things would be done in Cobb County from being transparent. That's all we've asked for, is transparency. Is that too much for any American citizen to ask for when they discover that one of their loved ones has been shot and killed by a police officer? Is transparency too much to ask for? I don't think so. And this family doesn't think so. So today we are here asking for some measure of truth and accountability. We hope we will get some answers. Some answers. And let's be clear, delay is not an accident. Let's be clear about that. In Georgia, as long as a case remains under investigation, this family can't get anything through the Open Records Act. They can't ask for documents because they'll be told the case is under investigation. Never mind the fact that those investigations time and time and time again lead to absolutely no accountability for the law enforcement officers involved in a police shooting. But what they do is delay the opportunity for a family who is grieving to understand how we got here. The delay is not an accident, but it's time for it to stop. It starts here, and we will not be silent any longer. We will not play their game any longer. That's all I have. If anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Are you asking for the public release of body camera video, or are you simply demanding a meeting with Sheriff Owen to have him explain what happened and perhaps just show you all the body camera video?
We're asking Sheriff...
You'll come up to the mic.
We're asking Sheriff Owen to release any video associated with this warrant execution, and we're asking the sheriff to sit down and speak with us, speak with the family, face to face, to tell them what happened. Tell them which one of his people shot and killed Johnny Bolton in his sleep.
So you're telling us this family has never met with anybody with this department?
We have reached out repeatedly to officers with the Cobb County Sheriff's Office, with the Cobb MCS, with the Cobb Police Department, repeatedly, politely, to speak with them. And we have been repeatedly rejected, at best, most often met with nothing but silence.
Clarification on his question. So I know you're requesting that meeting and explanation, very simple things. But the video, are you asking to go public or to sit down with the attorneys, the families, and start that conversation there? I want to make sure with what we are all writing that we're very clear about that ask.
So if I could take that question, the answer is both. I mean, obviously we want them to sit down with the family. But the fact of the matter is that the public at large has a right to know what happened. What happened? It shouldn't be a secret. When a government agent does this, we should know what happened. Not just the family, but the public. I would add, for example, we don't even know if the officer who actually fired those shots, assuming it was just one officer, we don't even know if he's still on the job. We don't know if this sheriff's office even bothered to suspend him pending the investigation. Is that too much to ask? That somebody at least be taken off the streets long enough to find out if the shooting was justified? Is it too much to ask that the family find out who the person is who actually shot and killed their brother, their son, excuse me, their father? We don't think so.
So, point of clarification, was this his apartment that he was using as a boarding house for women and children? Is that whose apartment was it?
Johnny lived in the apartment and had been living in the apartment for months. He slept on the couch in the living room.
But it was not his apartment.
His name is not on the lease.
So were those listed in the warrant people who had rented that apartment or stayed in that apartment, or is there any reason to believe that they had been there?
No. The people who are living in the apartment, their names appear nowhere in the warrant.
But were the people who were listed in the warrant, had they been living in that apartment?
One of the people who is listed in the warrant, I believe the apartment was his, but the police knew that he was not at that location because at the same time they executed a warrant at his house where they knew he lived.
Were there any children in the apartment at the time?
Yes, there was a teenage girl who was in a back bedroom as this happened.
Was anyone else in the apartment injured or detained that night?
Everyone in the apartment was detained. Some of these people were detained for upwards of 12 hours without any charges before being released.
So was anyone charged?
Some people have been charged after the fact.
And when you say boarding house, were these, is it just kind of like a halfway house, this apartment, and was this permitted in the state? Do you know that?
This is an informal arrangement where people would pay a small, people going through tough times would pay a small amount of money to a friend so that they could have a place to sleep that wasn't in the street.
Has law enforcement given any indication as to why they used a no-knock warrant? I mean, those have come under a lot of scrutiny. Typically, it's supposed to be pretty extreme situations. The indications that we have are the same indications that we get for no-knock warrants that have a lot of scrutiny around them, right? They're looking for evidence of a modest amount of drugs. They're concerned about officer safety. But the, bigger picture about this and why the family is calling for increased scrutiny about no-knock warrants is these are incredibly dangerous, not just for the people in the house, but also for law enforcement. There's no reason that this particular warrant needed to be a no-knock warrant, especially when you consider that none of the people they were looking for were in the apartment.
Was the warrant that was also simultaneously executed at the house where the apartments, that person's name was on the apartment, was that also a no-knock warrant? And what ended up happening to that individual when they executed it at that house?
That individual, that warrant was also executed.
As a no-knock warrant?
They had the authority to execute it as a no-knock warrant. I'm not sure whether it was or not. And that person was arrested and then has made bail.
In my conversation with Sheriff Owens earlier, he mentioned to me he's going to let the DA handle this case. Now, in a previous controversial police shooting that I covered here in Cobb County, the DA presented this to a grand jury. Do you hope the same thing happens? Now, that officer here in Cobb County was cleared in the previous shooting that happened in July of last year. Do you hope the DA presents this case to a grand jury?
I suspect that the DA will present this case to a grand jury. The better question, the more important question, is whether the DA makes a recommendation to the jury, to the grand jury, that they have an indictment, right? To make that determination, that's in part the DA's call, and in part that relies on information that simply hasn't been shared with the family, hasn't been shared with us, their attorneys.
You want the DA to present this with charges, because the last case with the Truett case, he did not present this case with charges.
You want an officer held accountable for this death, charged with murder?
Well, we'd like to know what happened first. We'd like to know what happened. I mean, what we know now is that there was an unarmed African-American man sleeping on a couch in a living room. The door busted open. He stood up, which I think is what most of us would do if somebody knocked down our front door, and he was dead moments later. So yeah, we'd like to know how that happened. And if that evidence suggests that charges should be brought, then yes, we would expect full accountability, both criminally and civilly. And let me just add to your comment. The passing the buck to the DA's office when you have a grieving family by a sheriff is inexcusable. You don't get to just say, well, you know, the DA's office is investigating, so we're not going to talk to you. There is absolutely nothing that prevents this sheriff from having the common decency to speak with this family and give them some answers. Nothing. Just because the DA's office is looking at a case doesn't mean the sheriff can't answer questions.
And to go further, just because the DA's office is looking at the case doesn't mean that the sheriff cannot release the video. It doesn't mean that the sheriff cannot make the decision to identify the officer, to describe what investigation his office has done. Regardless of whether the officer or officers who killed Johnny Bolton committed a crime, something obviously went horribly wrong and nothing has happened about it so far as we know. That's not only the DA's responsibility, that's also the sheriff's responsibility.
Do you have any idea how many SWAT officers were on the scene, or how many officers, period?
I do not know exactly how many officers were involved.
Can y'all explain sort of what the law is around no-knock warrants in Georgia and how it may compare to other states? Or
Do you want to take it on me?
Go ahead.
There needs to be specific probable cause for a no-knock warrant to be issued. Just the fact of the fact that a crime has taken place or that drugs may or may not be present in a dwelling does not give the right for a no-knock warrant. Police need probable cause to believe that there is a serious risk to officer safety from going in that would not exist if they knocked on the door, and or they need probable cause to believe that evidence could be destroyed if they knock and announce.
How many people were inside the house? You mentioned the young teenager, Johnny.
At least 4 people were in the house.
The apartment.
In the apartment, correct. And 3 of those people, Johnny and 2 others, were in the room where Johnny was and were eyewitnesses to what happened.
Quick question. So you mentioned that some people in the apartment did face charges later. Were those charges related to what was on the warrant, or what were they arrested for?
I don't have the exact answer to that, but it's in the record.
Just to go back to your question really quick on no-knock warrants, think about the fallacy of those 2 justifications for a no-knock. Danger to police and destruction of evidence. We live in a country with more guns than people. That's the country we live in. Law enforcement should have every expectation, I would guess, that most of the time if they bust in the door, there's a decent chance someone's going to have a gun, right? So if that's the justification, it exists in every case. In every case, right? That potential risk. And number 2, are we really going to put law enforcement and innocent people inside a home in a situation where lives are at risk because we're worried about whether someone's going to flush some drugs down the toilet? What's more important to you? Drugs or people's lives? Prioritization needs to change in the law enforcement community. Lives should come first. Everyone's life should come first.
Kind of going off of this question that he's had, can you explain how our rules here in Georgia compare to other states? I mean, is this something that needs to change? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So a number of places around the country have recently come to this recognition, right? That no-knock warrants are dangerous for law enforcement, and if the no-knock warrant is justified on the basis of drugs being flushed down the toilet, it's necessarily a small amount of drugs that isn't worth anybody's life, right? And as a result of that realization, cities and states around the country have started to ban no-knock warrants. Cobb County should do the same. The state of Georgia should do the same. To value life, no-knock warrants should be severely restricted, if not eliminated.
You know what kind of drugs that they were looking for inside this apartment?
I don't know exactly what they were looking for.
Did they find any drugs, do you know?
I don't know what they found in this location or the other versus the other location.
So can you give us the address of the apartment?
Yeah, 505 Springbrook in Smyrna.
What was the car shop for?
It was a car wash, and I don't know the name of it. Nearby.
And you have a picture of Mr. Bolton that we can...
Yeah. We have plenty of photos. If y'all shoot me an email, I'll send them to anybody who wants them.
Just have some. I don't know if that's the truth or not.
Thank you.
Oh, on the Springbrook apartment, what apartment number was it?
It's 505. 505 is the address, and that's also the apartment number.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know y'all aren't taking questions, but can I just get everyone's name and spelling?
All right, thanks, y'all.
D-A-P-H-N-E, Bolton, B-O-L-T-O-N.
That's a little bit, man.
D-A-P-H-N-E, Bolton, B-O-L-T-O-N.
My name is Diamond.
Diamond Bolton.
Diamond
like the ring.
D-I-A-M-O-N-T.
What's your last name?
And Bolton. B-O-L-T-O-N.
And
Kyrie Turner. Kyrie, K-Y-R-I-E. Turner. A-M is in Mary. And how old is he?
that's not the thing.
I'm 24. Diamond's 24, and how old is Kyrie?